Hi everyone, prep time is up. My name is Daphne and I'll be your chair for the finals. Congratulations on both teams for making it this far in the tournament. Um, okay, my pronouns are she or her. Now I'd like to pass the time on to my panelists to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Shinjo. My pronouns are also she and her, and I'll pass it on to Christine.
Hi, I'm Christine, and my pronouns are also she and her. Good luck for a debate later.
Okay, so we're waiting on, I think, one more panelist. So we'll just give them about a minute or two to come into the breakout room and then we'll begin.
Definitely, you can just start the debate.
All right. Yeah, thank you for waiting, everyone. So on the motion, this house, assuming it was feasible to cross the sea, this house as the scouts would choose not to venture beyond the borders of Paradis. I'd like to call upon the Prime Minister to begin this debate. Here.
Right, give me a few moments here. Okay. So I prefer my POIs verbally, but before that, am I audible?
Yep.
Okay. Pronounce him, and I prefer my POIs verbally. So starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. So in the anime series Attack on Titan, the scouts managed to push back those titans and see a border which exists an entire world beyond the sea. So as the prime minister of the government side, assuming it was our side supports the motion that assuming it was feasible to cross the sea, this house at the scouts would choose not to venture beyond the borders of Paradis. So first off, the borders beyond the Paradis is very dangerous. They are unknown. The people of Paradis does not know what is beyond those boundaries. So we know that beyond the borders of Paradis, there is a country called Mali, and they are dangerous. They are very dangerous. They are very dangerous to those Paradis people. They use aliens who live in Paradis as experiment material. They make them into titans. So obviously, even though those aliens don't know what holds beyond the shore, it is quite obvious that it will be very dangerous, considering that they had been attacked by titans so much in their own small little island. And also that in the storyline, many scouts died just because they explored beyond the shore. They went to beyond the shore and many scouts died. So even before they explored beyond the shore, many scouts already died in the Titan War, which they tried to push back the Titans. And so even if the scouts venture beyond the borders, even more people will die. So also that if they cross the border, they will of course see a country called Mali, which the people lives there very happily and not suffering, the exact opposite of how people live in Paradis, where they live in
POI.
every day in Islander. Let me just finish this.
Okay.
So they live very badly they live suffering in Paradis. So what will happen if the scouts saw that, mainly Aaron, there are people who live better than them in there, and they of course they'll feel anger, they'll feel jealousy. So basically this is what happens in the main Attack on Titan storyline. They ventured beyond the borders and saw what they happened, and it's not happy with it, and thus he killed a lot of innocent Malians. And thus this is why our side would not go beyond the borders. And so before I move on, yes, POI.
Oh, how are you going to be sure that the place Mali is a safe place instead of I mean, how are you going to be sure that this place will be safe?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?
Because you stated Mali, but because they don't know what's outside, how are you going to be sure that it's going to be safe? And I mean, it will be dangerous, and your place will be even safer.
So because we already said that they already pushed back the Titans, they already killed most of the Titans in Paradis, and it would be much more better for those people to stay in Paradis compared to for them to move on and explore the outside world. Okay, so moving on to our mechanism is that we would focus on the protection of the people. So we would want to fund those defensive measures and protect Paradis in case more enemies come, other than just letting them explore somewhere they don't even know. So also they need reparation, they need money for reparation, they need They just finished fighting the Titans. There are already many infrastructures and people are dead. They should use the money on what is better. They should use the money on the reparations and not just doing something that they don't even know and have no confidence in. They should rebuild infrastructures. Many houses were destroyed. They should rebuild that. They should also give consolation to families who lost their family members against the fight with the Titans. They should donate money to them using state subsidies as a form of compensation for their sacrifice to the country. So moving on, the stakeholders, of course, the stakeholders, the most important is the inhabitants of Paradis. And our side would like to prove that venturing beyond the borders of Paradis brings more harm than good, and we'll just prove this with two arguments. The first being that the danger outside Paradis is unknown, and the second is that the duty of the scouts. So now I'll start off with my arguments. The danger outside Paradis is unknown. So you should know that the scouts are incapable of venturing outside Paradis and protecting Paradis at the same time. Because firstly, they already have almost no people in Paradis if they went outside to explore. They will have no legitimate people to protect the people of Paradis. Yes, they might have the military police regiments, the garrison regiments, but as everyone knows that they are not the greatest, they are not the best if compared to the scouts. So the scout regiment is originally the smallest branch of the military in terms of membership, initially with an overall size of just around 300 soldiers. This is already limited number of volunteers have been made less and less by commonplace deaths and an infamy surrounding the body count that frightens away most people from joining. So after killing off most of the Titans in the Paradis, after they had a war of Titans, at that point the scouts had only just a handful of people. Most of them died in the extermination of Titans, resulting in just a small group. It is so dangerous for them to venture out to Paradis where the dangers are unknown. So also moving on that just as I said just now in my setup, when they go outside, if they venture beyond the boundary, they'll meet with the Malians. And the Malians, we all know that the Malians, they discriminate the Eldians. They think Eldians are not as great as them, which most of the people in Paradis are. They are Eldons. And also at that, some powerful Marilians would use those Eldians as a sacrifice for Titans. They would do experiments on them. Also, regarding those innocent Marilians in the storyline, we see that Aaron just killed off few thousand, even closing to 10,000. He killed many innocent Marilians just because he doesn't like them. And so, thus I end my case, proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you, PM, for that speech. Now I'd like to call upon Leader of Opposition.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so let's start my speech. Chair, the scouts currently living within islands is something in which we do not support, since it does not bring any good to the scouts and the community in general. Now, if we were to say that we are living in a world where the civilians are contained by a number of wars and are at the mercy of Titans, assuming that they are intelligent beings and there is a social structure and a hierarchy system that promotes a social structure, it is likely that they have a leader, which can be safely assumed as shown by history time and time again when a revolution is about to occur. Not to mention that they have been attacked previously by unknown sources and enemies and have caused significant damages and loss of lives altogether. Now, let's say that the scouts have successfully cleared the perimeter of Titans and that they now have the option of whether to leave the island to explore or to stay in the island and continue their lives. There are two layers to the mechanism that we support. One is that the scouts venture out into the unknown with the mission to get access to more information. Number two, the scouts already have the moral duty to do so, even if their lives are at risk. Moving on to the burden, we are here to prove that venturing out beyond the seas is a better alternative than staying on the island, to understand the mysteries that are present in their lives, and that staying on the island would only lead to their imminent destruction of their status quo in society. Before I start my argument, I would like to bring up that the Prime Minister has constantly been mentioning Malay in their argument, but there is no mention of Malay or anything beyond the seas in the info slide, making their argument ineffective. The first argument that I would like to bring up is that there is a moral obligation for the Scouts to fulfill their mission. There is a famous motto that is present between the Scouts: give your hearts, meaning that they are supposed to put their lives at stake for the people, for the betterment of everyone, regardless of the loss of lives. It is the duty of the Scouts to make sure that the people are safe from outside threats that may harm their society. We have seen that the Scouts are responsible for exploring the lands outside the walls, meaning that it is because of these explorations outside walls that they are able to develop technologies against Titans. Why is this relevant to our debate? It is because of these explorations that they are able to come up with corresponding technologies to fight against the Titans. As we have said in our frame, they have previously been attacked before, meaning that there's a possibility that there will be further attacks. So would it not be better to find out who the threat is first? If they were to not continue their journey, they will be seen as cowards, feeding off the government and taxes, being despised by society, ultimately causing conflict within the society. Why would this be important to our debate? Because if the outside threats were to attack again, they would at least be prepared. It is the duty of these Scouts to understand the enemy and develop good strategies that are effective against their attacks. Also, there was an instance where 19% of Scouts were eliminated during a battle with outside threats, and the commander of the Scouts urged them to continue fighting. Most of the Scout regiment was sacrificed in order of Commander Irwin to ensure the victory of the Scout. Therefore, if they were not to go, their sacrifices would be in vain, since they did not achieve anything in the end, so they are supposed to avenge their comrades for the cruelty they were faced with. If they were to not continue exploring, wouldn't their comrades' deaths be in vain? Them themselves would feel guilty without accomplishing their dead friend's target, and would also be seen as useless by the people, since they sacrificed their whole squad for nothing, giving them more the reason to continue pushing and continue fighting for the betterment of everyone. Hence, my conclusion to this argument is that the lives and effort would be to no avail if the Scouts decide not to attack the outside world. Moving on to my second argument, there's a chance for them to expand in terms of technology relations, solve mysteries, or even do tradings. By going out, they may be able to become stronger by strengthening their defense by learning new technologies and building new relations. In the series, they were seen to be building railroads and using more advanced technology during the battle, proving their improvements after venturing out underneath their land. They possess a field known as iceberg stone that powers their omnidirectional mobility gear, which could be used for trade since it is in high demand in the rest of the world. In the anime, we could see the shogunate family that was very eager to extract the fuel, even to the point of providing massive fortune to the government. If Paradis were to utilize this fact to make trade with the world, they would monopolize the trade and earn a lot from it, which could be used to expand themselves and make the lives of the people better. Therefore, the Scouts will be the face of the country, will be regarded as a hero, gain more power in the community, would more likely prioritize the Scouts. Japan, as an example, they landlocked themselves but still continued to do trade, making them still connected to the outside world. Why is this relevant to this debate? They are an island locked from the entire world, which means they are probably precious metals and stones that could be used for trade. This could be utilized to make business or at least have partners, which would be better for the Scouts themselves. If they do not go, they would not be able to evolve into a modern civilization confined inside walls forever unknown of what's beyond. Moreover, going outside will mean more opportunities for them to evolve as a society and will also benefit the Scouts themselves. As a conclusion, we strongly believe that the scouts should be venturing out instead of just living in their island, without any regard of what is about to happen to them, in a way neglecting their duties and losing the chances of trading better technology and access to information. No to POI. Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you, LO, for that speech. Now I'd like to call upon the DPM.
Hi, am I audible?
Yep.
Okay, I'm starting my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Oh, sorry, wait. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I'm starting my speech in 3, 2, and 1. So today as DPM, right, I'll first off restarting my rebuttals first. So firstly, LO has talked about how like by venturing outside the borders, you will have like access to more information and trading, and that they gain all the technology they have inside the walls is results of them venturing outside the world, the more modern world. But what we have to say is I think this information from opposition is misleading because they did not gain all the technology there from like venturing outside. What they gained from trying to go outside and trying to find more about like killing the titans or anything was more death of the scouts, and they did not gain all the information and trading or like the technology from outside. They already had it themselves. And yeah, and like in this debate, right, we are like debating on the terms where all the titans outside are already dead, so they do not need to go outside to like find out more about titans anymore because they already fight all the titans and like they cleared all the titans already. So yeah, they are basically already living in peace in like their own civilization as in on the Paradis island, right? Yeah, so and another point of like how the scouts have the moral duty to like go out and venture for more information and for more for more information for the whole Paradise Island, and to do they should do so even though their life is at risk. Or like our side will be rebutting on this point is that even you put your life at risk, it's okay for you, it's your moral duty, but what about other people living in the Paradise Island? You need to realize that you are living in peace right now, and your exploration will like endanger other people in the Paradise, because like assuming that you're going outside like beyond your own borders and you're probably entering someone's borders, someone who doesn't want you there. And like for example, my PM has already talked about how the Marlies, who is like at the other side of like, it means like if you cross the border of the Paradise, you'll be meeting the Marlies, which is another civilization of people, and they obviously don't want you there. So like by going out your border, you're actually endangering your own people, and we feel that this is not a worth trade-off, even though like you might gain other things that Op has talked about. Okay, so now I'll be going on my second argument of the day, which how
Hi, wait,
like the
wait, Yishan, you are lagging very badly.
scouts
Yishan,
have the duty to protect the
hi, Yishan. Okay, we'll just give her a minute to join back the call, I think. Oh wait, she's here. Yishan, you're
Am
still
I
very
audible?
laggy. Hello?
I'm joining with another device. Like, can I have a minute?
Okay, it kind of works now, but yeah, can. You can try with another device. Completely fine.
Joining with another device.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yep. I don't know why your echo is so bad, but yeah, can hear you. Okay.
Okay, so
I
I'm
heard
going.
you up until you were introducing the second argument, I think. So you can start there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Starting again in 3, 2, 1. So, second argument, right? We are talking about like after like the duty of the scouts. So, after defeating the Titans, right? There's only like the PM said, right? Only like a handful of scouts that survive. So obviously they are severely like they have like the lack of manpower. They are like they don't have enough manpower to provide exploration outside and protecting the people inside, right? So it is actually very unrealistic for the scouts to venture outside the borders of Paradis with only around like 20 people. Maybe it's like like if there are Titans, okay, like if in the past there are Titans, there obviously will be more dangerous things out there, right? So we believe that instead of like risking your life and the people of your life of the people in your country, we should stay inside. So according to our mechanism, right, we would like invest the fundings like in another place, right? So like we would trade off the exploration outside the Paradise borders for the protection of the people inside. Like we will have better funding and better defensive measures, and like we will have to train more scouts, right? Because like in previous battles a lot of scouts have died, right? So like now we would train more scouts and create better defensive measures in when people come and attack us, right? So like we also like have war reparations from the previous damage, for example like rebuilding infrastructure, like or donating the money to the people in poverty or the people who lost their family members, and also like give the people in your civilization like better standard of living. And yeah. And so another very important point here is that your curiosity kills the cat, right? Because like obviously the protection of the inhabitants of the paradise is more important than exploration, because like, currently you are living in peace and you have everything you need, and we feel that the scouts, they should appreciate it and they should not prioritize anything but paradise, which they have given very hard, which they had done very a lot to secure their people, and many people died because of exploring outside in the past, right? So like if going outside we will like meet more enemies and cause more war and more deaths, we're just not gonna risk everyone's lives just for being curious and wanting to seek more, because we need to know that you're sacrificing your life at some point to venture outside. And yes, maybe like you're okay with it, but you're also like sacrificing like the people inside your country, right? Is it worth it like to ask more people to join the scouts, and at the end of the day you go explore outside and meet danger and then die, and then like maybe you lure more enemies coming into your place, into your borders, and starting unwanted war. So we feel that it's so not worth it to do that, and we will not do that, right? So what you would do is we would stick to our own kingdom, our own civilization, and not bother anything outside the borders, right? So because as we have said, that's not worth it, because like some people are still in paradise, are still in poverty, and they still haven't recovered from the pain from like the previous war, like from the attack from the Titans, right? So now you're like already in peace, and you will try to recover the loss that we had suffered from the past, and like we would. And why would you want to trade off peace to venture outside the borders, right? You're luring the predator to yourself. We feel that it's a very dumb and stupid move, right? Yeah, and because like also mainly because you are feasible. Yes, we are feasible, but you don't have enough manpower, and like the will of the people are not strong enough, right? So we feel that we won't go outside the borders, and proud to propose. Thank you.
All right, thank you, DPM, for that speech. Now I'd like to call upon DLO.
Hello, am I audible?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So I'll be accepting POIs in the chat box. And I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, starting off my speech, I would like to address the Marley points that's been made again in the second speaker. And I'd like to point out that Marley is not included in the info slide. So it makes the argument invalid inherently. But even though it is not included, even if we were to say that people outside are hostile, are we going to minimize the benefits that going outside brings? In the second speaker's argument, they have said that the technology that the scouts have is created by themselves. But in actuality, inside the anime, they did not have railroads at first, and they were not able to operate planes and stuff when they were on the other side. And so opposition believes that by having skepticism in approaching the outside world, they can and have the ability to gain better technology and solve the mysteries. I stated in my first speaker. So actually these, by going outside, they are able to gain the technology that was stated. So that would be my first rebuttal towards the second speaker's points. And after that, I would like to address that the second speaker said that they are not living in peace, and that, they are living in peace, and that they should not risk themselves in order to find other lands because they are already in peace. But in actuality, they are constantly being attacked by titans, which is stated in the info slide again. And this info slide says that the human colony exists inside a system of walls, and they have also developed military factions, but they still are attacked by the titans constantly. As stated, by they have to push back against the titans. So that means, and that implies that titans are a constant threat in the area. So yeah, POI, please.
Hi, can you please address the fact that further on in the info slide, they already stated that the scouts push back and kill off most of the titans in Paradis, and that is only the reason why they choose to venture beyond the borders of Paradis in the first place?
Oh yeah, okay. So to address that, the info slide says that military factions are developed to push back against the titans, but it is the fact that they say they have to push back against the titans means that they are constantly faced by this threat, and so they cannot live in this way for long, because war cannot bring solace and peace in the long run. As we all know from history, there are a lot of historical examples, such as the World War I, and a lot of bombings occurred, which I'm not going to go into because my history is not the best, but I do know for a fact that they all happened. So so that means that war will not bring happiness forever. And staying inside and stagnant in one place is even worse. So that would be my rebuttal. And yeah, okay, so they are not, they'll be addressing how they are constantly attacked. And yeah, okay. And you're not sure that there will be more titans coming in the future. So yeah, that's also a point. Okay, after that, I would like to say, because they are risking their lives and they are not prepared to go out, as the second speaker of government said, it's not that their willpower is not strong enough and they have not enough manpower. This should not be this should not be a restriction for them venturing out, because nobody said that they could not prepare first. As again, using the info slide, they can fight back, but yeah, and they can fight back for now, but that doesn't mean they cannot develop. That does not mean that they have to venture out at this very instant. They still have time to prepare. So if they are prepared and they venture outside tactically and having skepticism and prioritizing their own safety first, they can and have the ability to venture outside. And they also have the moral obligation stated by the first speaker, that they have the moral obligation to avenge their people before them. And so yeah, this is the moral obligation of why they should go out, and that going out is not a restriction, it's not a problem and not restricted by the manpower and willpower. Okay, so after those rebuttals, I'd like to continue with my argument. Okay, so my argument is that going outside will help the scouts gain happiness. And how does this work? How do they gain happiness? Well, when going outside, the scouts can explore new things and they can gain new insights and they can learn more things in the world. Because they are confined in a small place, going outside, they can learn a lot more of things. And they can break out of their dull lives inside, they can break out of the dull lives that they live inside the perimeter. So although it's not guaranteed that they will find safety outside the walls, they are sure to find solace outside instead. Because why would they want to be trapped and threatened inside their own confines and inside their own homes when they could run away from their perpetrators instead? It's kind of like humans, we have developed a fight or flight response, but staying inside only gives you the ability to fight. You cannot fly or like fight or flight response. Staying inside only gives you the option to fight. And by fleeing away and going outside of their perimeter, they have the choice to flight, which is to run away from the dangers. So this going outside will also give them this like choice to make. And so why is this beneficial? Why is it important and why is it impactful? Well, solace is very important for happiness, which is important also for self-actualization of the scouts. And they will indirectly lead to having better lives in the future as compared to living inside the walls. And so it should be their best of interest to know that they have the choice to, as I said just now, fight or flight, because fighting is not sustainable in the long run, which is what I said just now, like the wars happen in the past, but they cannot be sustained in the long run. They are only temporary solutions. And so by going outside, they can have another choice and will have a better future. And so why is this exclusive to our side? Why is it only on the opposition side that we can get this benefit? Well, the reason is that they have an ease of mind by being they have more ease of mind by being confined inside. And at the same time, they have more space to move around and have they can meet more people outside. Because as stated in, as stated in my just now the speech, I said that we should deal with outside people with skepticism, because they may bring threats, but they may also bring benefits too. Because as I said just now, the railroads and like operating flights, they're only able to achieve those when they are on the other side. And so, okay, why is this relevant in this debate? What did all of that have to do with the motion of the day? Well, gaining happiness is very important when you have a team that is being constantly oppressed by the outside world. Because gaining by having happiness, you gain cohesion, better cohesion inside the team. And like, even though there is a lot of people, they all have the same objective. So they inherently have a better atmosphere than being miserable and stuck inside and having to constantly deal with the outside threats. And also note that we are not saying that living inside is inherently bad, but we are instead saying that living outside brings them more happiness than staying inside. And so after all that, I'd like to conclude my entire argument that even if they cannot completely shut out the threats, they can have more ease of mind when it comes to protecting themselves, and they have the right to find happiness amidst all the threats that they face in the world. Change is permanent, but happiness should also be permanent amidst these changes. Thank you.
Thank you, DLO, for that speech. Now I'd like to call upon the government whip.
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah.
All right, cool. POIs in both chat and verbal is fine, all right? So let me set up my timer. All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. So today, the main reason why opposition is so against our team, right, is they tell you that if the Titans attacked you once, then they will come again. Well, the answer to that is that if you can defeat the Titans once, you can probably defeat them again. And also considering how, please understand that at the end of the info slides, it says that they already killed off the Titans in Paradis. So it fiats, basically, the info slide fiats that the people in Paradise are basically living in peace. Otherwise, if you're not in peace, you can't even go outside in the first place, right? So that's kind of like selective blindness from opposition side. So please understand and read through the entire info slide before saying something like the more Titans will attack you, all right? Now, I'm going to begin by rebutting what side opposition has brought up to you in today's debate before giving out a few of the clashes, all right? So opposition POI Earth, right? They asked us, how do we know that staying inside Paradis is safer than going outside? Well, how does opposition know that going outside is safer than staying inside then? Because if Titans exist, then you probably have a rough idea on how dangerous it is outside Paradis, right? It's basic common sense. And understand how in our mechanism, we have already stated how so clearly what we will do instead of venturing outside, right? We would rebuild infrastructure, we would donate money to people who need it, and opposition did not engage with our mechanism at all, right? And we tell you that it's a waste of resources to ignore the people suffering from the after effects of the fight against the Titans to go out and explore when you already have peace. Now, here's the most contradictory part about opposition, right? Which just now deputy leader of opposition stated, he was like, war cannot bring more peace. But exactly, so now you already have peace. Why do you want to go on and start another war, right? Okay, fine. Opposition tells us that we don't know Mali exists. All right, even if you don't know Mali exists, you probably have an idea of how dangerous it is outside, considering that you have faced Titans before. You probably know that there are more dangers outside, right? So why is opposition agreeing with us, right? They tell you that they want peace, but they also tell you that they want to go outside. They tell you that the scouts have a moral obligation to go out and get revenge for their friends and family who died. Why are you saying you want peace and then you also want revenge? Can you address and answer how contradictory that entire case is? All right, cool. Moving on. They tell us that Mali is not included in this debate. Yes, we understand that. We understand that the scouts do not know that Mali exists and we are debating as a scouts, right? But we are telling you in the setup, like Mali does exist. We are telling you that in the main Attack of Titan universe, Mali exists, and we have already seen the after effects of going outside and facing Mali, right? We have already seen how bad it is. We have already seen how many people have died. But even if we don't know Mali exists, we also already know that there are a lot of dangers outside, considering like how I've explained, if there are Titans, there are probably much worse things out there, and it's basic human common sense to understand that, all right? Okay, and then they tell you that staying inside is no good to the scouts and the community. The civilians are at the mercy of the Titans, and there's a lot of loss of life and a lot of damage to their country. And again, selective blindness from opposition side who do not address the fact that the info side has clearly stated they have basically killed off all the Titans, and they have already defeated the Titans, and they are in peace. And my previous speaker, right, my Deputy Prime Minister has already stated how we would rather trade off everything that opposition gives you today for the peace of the people in Paradis, which opposition just somehow just ignores completely and does not engage with the fact that we have peace, but they don't, right? Cool. All right. They also stated how more Titans will come attack Paradis. Like I already stated again and again, it does not work like that, considering how they have already killed most of the Titans. All right, but assuming that there will be more Titans coming to attack Paradis, assuming that Mali, even though the scouts don't know Mali exists, but assuming that Mali does come and attack Paradis, right? First of all, we tell you it's unlikely because Eren Yeager is like the founding Titan, and we can already see from the past where Mali was scared to attack Paradis and only send Titans, but now the Titans are all dead, so the Paradis people in Paradis are living very peacefully right now. But worst case scenario where Mali actually comes and attack Paradis, or Mali sends more Titans to attack Paradis, understand how in our mechanism we have clearly stated that we would fund defensive measures, we would fortify our country, we would train more scouts, and therefore we tell you that even if Mali sends more Titans, or even if we don't know Mali exists and simply more Titans come, they are unlikely to win against Paradis. And like I've stated before, if you defeated them once, you can defeat them again. All right, cool. Yeah, and then the main point, right, the opposition's entire case is based on the fact that if they go out and explore, they can get more information, they can get more trade. There's absolutely no process analysis on how this happens. How, like opposition says that, oh, you will get information like railroads, you will get information like airplanes. We don't see the process and how exploration equals information, right? We don't see what the exploration looks like. We don't know how opposition is going to go out and explore and somehow just magically gain the knowledge like, oh, they're just going to step outside the borders of Paradis and somehow the information of how to build airplanes and railroads will just enter their brain. That's so cool. Oh my God, totally love opposition side, all right, cool. So opposition tells us that we don't know what outside has. We don't know if outside or inside is safer, right? But then at the same time, they're also assuming that there are people outside the walls of Paradis, and these people will have better technology and will trade with people in Paradis. So that's completely contradictory and very ironic and very hypocritical of opposition team, right? Cool. Okay, now to end off my speech, I will give out the main clash of today's debate is who better protects the inhabitants of Paradis. They are the most vulnerable stakeholder in today's debate because they are directly influenced by the decisions of the scouts, right? So opposition tells you that by going out promotes trade and more information, which I find directly stated makes no sense at all because there's no mechanism, there's no process analysis on how that happens at all. And we would trade all these off, we would trade all the benefits that opposition brings to you in today's debate for no wars and safety and for peace, right? Can you eat information? Can you eat trade? No, right? If you go out, you endanger yourself, you all die, what trade then? How does trade even exist on your side if you go out and you start a war and everyone dies? What info? If you're all dead, what trade, what info? We don't understand how opposition brings these benefits to us in today's debate, right? So by venturing outside the borders of Paradis, opposition will be vulnerable and actively subjecting themselves to danger that exists outside of Paradis, which everyone knows is obviously dangerous when Titans exist, and there's probably more worse things out there, right? So in our case, right, in government's world, we have this mechanism. We will be protect more people by funding defensive measures. We will build infrastructure. We will help with war reparations, okay? Because we have just finished fighting the Titans, there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be rebuilt. We will donate money to people who need it using state subsidies. And therefore, with all these benefits that we bring to you, we definitely win today's debate and opposition does not stand. And therefore, I am very proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you, Government Whip, for that speech. Now I'd like to call upon Opposition Whip.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yep, sorry.
Okay. So to start off my speech, right, I would like to reply to what the third speaker has said. So they said that we had a contradictory part, which is that war cannot bring more peace. But the problem is they are not in peace in the first place. They've been attacked from the start. Why would they even go out to venture outside if there weren't people who attacked, who broke their walls, and they needed to find out who they were? So even after the Titans die, Marley may keep attacking, and you may say that they may lose against Paradis, but you may not know because you are inside the island. You don't know what is out there. So you are supposed to go out there and find out what there is, you know? And then they did say that how, like, you know, Marley may if we go out there, we may engage war with Mali. But if we, how were you to know, if you are in the perspective of the scouts, how were you to know that Mali would attack you? You may, you know, go out to other places and then they may accept you, you know, because not that Mali would even attack you if you don't go there, right? And so they are like looking down on Mali, underestimating them, since like they did not address that how they have more choices to defend themselves off. And moreover, they said that if there were no Titans to continue coming, they would not exactly know how the Mali plans to attack them the second time. So you are supposed to go out there and, you know, identify the problem in the first place. Like if you were to stay there and then, you know, continue building your defenses, but they have planes, you know, they have planes, they could freaking like drop a nuclear on you and you wouldn't know. Then you have to like go out there and understand that you have to know this, you know. Yes, did anybody want to?
Hi, so you stated how Mali has like planes and they can just nuke you. Then can you explain the process analysis on why Mali would even give this form of information to the audience on how to build airplanes in the first place?
No, that's why in the story they went there and they were undercover, right? They're undercover to understand the information. They gathered the information and that they understood how they fight, and then only they, you know, started their attack. Then that is, since the scouts have already we have seen that the scouts have already killed every Titan or most of the Titans in the island. That means that they have the ability to strategize, to make better plans so that they could fight back. So if they were to go to Mali undercover and understand, I believe that they wouldn't even need Mali to disclose that information. They would be able to get it themselves because they were able to do it in the anime, right? So being undercover to understand can only be achieved by venturing outside. Okay, if you were to be here and then you would not know if there was the existence of even planes, you would think that the only mode of transportation are horses. That's how you would picture the island if you were to continue being here. And then you did say that everyone they will continue building their defenses. Well, we did not say that. The second speaker, right? The second speaker said that we would not have enough manpower. But the problem is, we did not say that they have to go right away. They could prepare 4 to 5 years. You know, in the anime, they did prepare 4 to 5 years before attacking. So it does not mean that we do not have enough manpower. We could slowly build, and you did say that we could use funds to build. That does not mean that we could not use funds to build our army as well. In the anime, they did use time to build, you know, and they did fight back, and they actually succeeded at a point, you know. So it furthermore, like, you know, proves my point that they are fighting for peace. Like, even if you were to stay at the island, would it be a permanent solution? You never know what the other side is planning, right? You have to like make sure what is your threat, and then you have to eliminate it. Because you keep saying that you have to have safety for your people. Then if they were to continue attacking, then where would the safety go, right? In order to ensure safety, you have to eliminate the threat, right? So therefore, that would prove why that, you know, I actually think that going outside is actually better than just staying inside and, you know, just continuing your everyday lives. Okay, so now I would like to move on to some clashes. So one of the clashes that we see is that so safety, how is safe, on which side is safety more ensured, you know, for the betterment of people? But they said that our side said that going out, then we will understand the threat, right? And then you guys said that staying here would be safer because they're already living safe. But as I have said, they are not safe. So actually, you could see that by going out, we are actually helping the entire community to be safer. Since if we have the technology, we are able to make the community more guarded in a way that everybody can protect themselves. They can individually protect themselves. And if we were to not go out and be in the island, which would be very selfish because you would be afraid of your life and you would not want to go out. If you go out, the community can actually do more things as a group than each individual can do by themselves, which means that maybe other civilians could help in the war. If there was the occurrence of war, they could help us, you know, instead of them just being killed in the process, right? And so that is why I think that we have, you know, proof that it is actually better to be venturing out instead of staying at the island. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, opposition whip, for that speech. Now I'd like to call upon the opposition reply speaker.
Am I audible?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So I'll start off my reply to conclude what our entire debate today has stated. So firstly, the leader of opposition has stated the first argument being that the people living inside the Scouts have a moral obligation to avenge the people before them, and the side of government completely ignored, not completely ignored. They did not say that they did not acknowledge this, that this is very important, and so that is what opposition thinks. And the side of opposition also stated the second argument as they have more chance to expand and in terms of like technology relations, and know more about themselves and why they're there, or even do tradings. And the side of government says that this endangers the people inside. I mean, this mobilizes resources and funds and all this endangers the people inside. But as my second and third speaker has rebutted, that they do not necessarily have to mobilize at an instant. They have the time and they have the resources and manpower to do this at an eventual time. And so this is also a plus for the opposition team, and that is why we think that we have won the first two arguments. And my third argument, the side of opposition's third argument, is that they can gain happiness in this way because they have more choices and ways to fight back instead of just fortifying themselves and building up a wall. like a turtle hiding inside their shell. So gaining happiness can be occurred when, they can gain more happiness when they go outside, instead of staying inside like a turtle inside their shell or like a frog under a well. So that would be what the second speaker has said. And also analyzing just now what both third speakers have said. The third speakers have said. Okay. Fortifying countries and as the government side has said, fortifying their country and training more scouts is not actually a permanent solution, as stated by the second speaker, but they have ignored that, and also stated again by the third speaker, because as stated by the second speaker, war is not a permanent solution, because if you really want to achieve peace, you have to kill all your enemies, and is that viable? Side of opposition does not think that is viable, and hence we think that going outside rather than staying inside should be a way to go for the future. And so another thing that they have, another thing that side of government has said is that we magically gain all the technology, but they fail to recognize that we can, as my third speaker has said, they can go undercover to understand other people's technology, kind of like the Cold War. We are not saying that they should be our friends. We only say that we want to go outside, so we can learn from our history, as shown by Cold War. The Russian people will go to Britain to learn more about their technologies and learn how to build helicopters in the same way that scouts can go outside and learn how the Maoris build helicopters, airplanes, sorry. And they can use this method to go undercover to understand. We don't necessarily have to have good relations with them, but the second and third speaker has just said that this can be achieved by venturing outside. So after all that, and I conclude. After all that conclusion, I think it is assuring to say that side of opposition has clearly won this debate, and that concludes my reply speech. Thank you.
Thank you, opposition reply, for that speech. Now I'd like to call upon government reply to end this debate.
Hi, am I audible?
Yep.
Okay. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. So today, as reply, right, I'll be telling everyone why we're gonna win this debate today. Okay. So firstly, right, let's say our comparative, right? Today in our side, right, as Gov, we acknowledge that our people are still vulnerable and weak, and they are not in the case. It is not in the case to risk for more wars for them, right? So like we also know that fighting the Titans is already too much for the scouts and the people. Yes, they have the ability to beat the Titans, but we also acknowledge that the after effects of the war is not something we want again, right? We don't want more wars, right? This is what our side is going for, right? And also know that like being feasible and having enough manpower are completely different things, right? We will not risk more civilians joining the scout forces only to go and venture outside. One, risk their lives, and two, bring more enemies into Paradis, right? Also, we show you that we also show you that we want peace, and that is for the best because we have the less casualties here. Let's acknowledge the fact that our side have the less casualties here, because even if you meet people out there that has better technology, better information, are those information and technology so easy to achieve? Is it that are you living like we feel that UP is glorifying the fact that we're going out there and we'll just get technologies back. They did not describe or tell us the process of how they're gonna get it, and also who can get better information, right? Like ask us how would we know like if the Mali will attack you. Then we ask, so then like how would like the opposition know that going out there have like the benefits that they have stated, right? How do we just step outside the borders and like somehow just know that, oh, airplanes and railroads exist, right? So knowing the fact that their mechanism only appears in their whip speech, their mechanism was like to prepare 4 to 5 years before venturing outside and go undercover to get information. Why is your mechanism even appearing in the opposition whip speech? And if therefore we completely disregards this mechanism, right? Okay, so on our side, like who's happier, right? So how are you gonna know that going outside will be happy, right? Because UP says that if we don't know if staying inside will be happy, then we also don't know if going outside will be happier, right? So we would trade off this happiness and information to ensure this unconfirmed happiness to ensure peace inside, right? Also, who better ensures peace today, right? So today both sides want peace, right? We can do this because we tell you that if we don't go outside and like like cause unwanted fights with others, there will be no wars and there will be no wars and there will be no casualties, and that is the peace we want. We don't want any more casualties. We don't want any more people to live in the after effects of wars, right? And that's why we are also like investing our funds in like rebuilding the community and like giving them like a better standard of living before even thinking about anything else, right? So we stay inside our mechanism today is that we want war reparations and defensive measures, right? We don't go out there and try to start fights, and because that's what Op's doing. And so like Op keeps saying like we got moral obligation to take revenge or something, right? Revenge and peace, you have to choose one, okay? You can't just want revenge but also want peace. Stating that wanting revenge means attacking others and seeking justice of something, that is so not peace, right? Also like we tell you that yes, we are afraid, even if we have the moral obligation to maybe go out, but we are afraid. And having fear, it keeps you safe, okay? Because fear is a crucial part of our lives, and it is what that is keeping us safe. And it is why today we feel that our side takes this debate because we are the ones that are doing the better good. We are the ones that are we are prioritizing the most important stakeholder of the debate, which is the vulnerable situations, right? Vulnerable citizens that cannot protect themselves, right? And this is why we feel that I'm proud to propose. Thank you.
All right, thank you, government reply, for that speech, and thank you everyone for the debate. I think now you can go back to the main call, like the main hall. Results will probably be announced there during the closing ceremony. Judges stay here, yeah.